Welcome to an incomplete guide to personal growth. We invite you to take a breath and take a listen to our podcast that explores the wonder, humor, challenges, and sometimes those self-inflicted wounds on a journey of personal growth.
Our weekly podcast conversations include stories, resources, and tools that you can incorporate into your daily life. We're the mother-daughter duo of Sydney
and Kelly. Hey, Sydney.
Hey, Mom. How are you?
I am good.
That's good.
Yeah.
I've got my new clothes on.
You do? Yeah, we went shopping.
Yes.
And
we did.
It doesn't take us long.
No.
We're not lookers where you browse.
Yeah.
You know, we're just much more of a, what do we need?
And we're going to go get it.
Let's get it. What do we like? Let's try different things.
Yeah.
You did. I kind of went for my same old, but
yeah.
But it's like,
yeah.
I know.
I don't just like browse.
No, you had, you know, I need this many shorts, I need
I
this many tops.
I had like a certain amount I
did.
was trying to hit if I didn't find in that, you know.
Yeah, but you got a couple surprise dresses in there.
Yes, I did. Yeah,
so that was good. But we had 3 stores and big old bags, and we were on our way.
Yes, I know. But, like I think it was only like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Into maybe it was 4. It was 3 or 4.
It was 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was 4. It was definitely 4.
Okay.
Yeah. But still, yeah. And I've always been that way.
Yes.
Like if I don't really have anything I'm gonna buy, like I can walk around the mall just for fun, but I'm not gonna go into stores
and look at things if I'm not gonna buy.
If I'm not gonna buy,
I'm that way too.
I'll walk around, but I'm not gonna go into a store and just browse.
And then I have a hard time figuring, like we're going on this cruise this summer, and it's like the clothes are the hardest part of the trip.
Yes.
So I'm gonna ask somebody I'm gonna get a
shopper.
Yes. I don't need a lot, and I think I have what I need, but I just need to.
Yes.
Really.
But then there's like we have Lauren who will go to a store and just look for hours.
Oh my gosh, she's a shopper, and so is
Dad.
Dad's a shopper. He can just go, and I remember we'd go and we'd look at electronic stuff, and I'm like, why are we here? Are we gonna buy?
No.
No, I'm just looking what they have. I'm like,
well,
I don't like that. I want to buy. So get me out of the store unless you want a new TV.
Yeah.
And one time I did that. I said, let's just look at a new TV because he was talking about it. And I was like, well, let's do it.
You say that, but you know you're going to buy it. That's funny.
That's the only way to get
That's
it.
the only way. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just different. You know, people shop a little differently.
Everybody does.
But I am a mission.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
not that like.
And I have to be in the mood.
I know. I think the only exception to that is if I'm like a tourist in a town.
Oh, yes, that's
and
different.
I'll go, you know.
Oh, that's different because you want to see.
At the touristy things and whatever. But like when it comes to just shopping, like regular.
We know what the stores have.
Yeah. And same thing, like I love shoe shopping, but I don't just like go into a shoe store. I only go in if I know I'm gonna get something.
Dillard's always has that huge selection of just bizarre and every kind of shoe, which is so amazing. I don't think of that for Dillard's, but they really do. They have more than DSW almost.
I know.
Which is just a shoe store.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But we had some fun shopping.
Phone on Do Not Disturb. I forgot to do that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I get sidetracked easily.
Yeah, that's okay. ADD. So we are now in our mental health month.
Yes, we are.
And so I am somebody that treasures my sleep. I adore my sleep time. And I'm not saying I'm somebody that just like sleeps and sleeps and sleeps.
No, you don't sleep all day, but
do not mess up my sleep schedule. Don't mess up my sleep time.
It doesn't matter what's on TV. When the clock dings, you're gone.
I'm gone.
In your head, and when the clock dings in your head, oh, it's my bedtime. I'll see you.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. No, do not mess. If I'm at home, do not mess with my sleep.
Yeah. No, not that you don't stay out late.
No,
but
I have my routine, and I think, and it truly, for me, I absolutely feel the effects on my mental health with sleep. Yeah. And that was a big thing after I had Charles. My postpartum anxiety generally came because I did not have sleep. Mm-hmm. I wanted that baby to sleep, and none of it was happening. I know. And so it truly, like, that is where, and like his sleep schedule, like I just became unhealthfully just obsessed. And so, and even before I had Charles, like sleep has always been important to me.
You from the time, and it's funny because from the time you were little, I knew what time you're going to wake up. Bedtime was never an issue.
Yeah.
And total opposite with
Lauren,
Thank God she did sleep late in the morning.
Yeah,
unlike you, 6 o'clock.
I know. I've always been an early bird. Yeah. But so I just I'm a big advocate for sleep. Yeah. And if you have problems or issues, you probably just need just a little more sleep.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about sleep.
Okay. Tell me about it.
So, I'm sure most people have heard of the sleep cycle and how we go through several during the night, 4 to 6. And I've heard a lot about this with Charles and how long sleep cycles last, and when they're in between, you'll see them move, but don't go in there because they're just, we do the same thing.
Same thing, don't we? Right.
And its average is 90 minutes, can be longer, can be shorter, but average. So you go through 4 stages, and I think most people really think about REM sleep.
Yeah, that's what you hear the most about.
But that's only one part. That's the very last phase of sleep. Oh. So you have your first stage, which is the shortest, and it's just you've just fallen asleep. You're easily woken up. It's just the very beginning. But your brain activity starts to slow. Then the second stage, your temperature drops when you sleep, and your eye movement totally stops, and you're just more relaxed. And then stage 3 is tends to be the most restorative stage. Okay. It helps with generating your memory. A lot of times when you're sick, it's that time when your immune system's really starting to restore your body. And so all of these 3 stages is called non-REM, so non-rapid eye movement sleep. So all 3 of these stages, and you get into these slower brain waves and all of it. It's your body, and I've heard this, if you're sick, whatever, your body restores itself when it's sleeping. And that's a lot of when that's happening.
That's why I sleep a lot when I get a cold.
Yeah.
I mean, I do. I try to rest anyway. Even during the day, I'll take a nap.
Oh, yeah. And then the very last stage, 4th stage, is the REM, rapid eye movement. And so this is now when your brain activity goes up. This is when our dreams happen. And this is when the rest of your body is totally still, but the only movement that your body does is continues to breathe, obviously. Yeah. And then eyes. And that's it. And you can observe it. They observe that when people sleep. They hover. But I think your brain activity is going up, and in your mind you're making these images maybe when you're dreaming, and so you're and it's a lot of the times if you've learned something, that's when it's, continuing to analyze and learn and do. And that's not that, they have the concept of, if you're going to study, if you've studied for an exam, it is better for you to sleep than it is to stay up and cram. Your brain does more learning and will retain if you go to sleep than if you wear it out and stay up and cram to study.
That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. And I knew, too, with piano, if I was learning something really hard and getting my finger moves whatever, I knew I'd be most likely better the next day, because in my sleep, my brain is analyzing everything that I've done that day.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, no, your brain does a crazy amount. Yeah.
Now, do these stages repeat? I go through stage 1 several times, or just this is
the whole each 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 you kind of end the cycle, and then if you still sleep, then you do it again and again. So
I was gonna say, if you wake up and I get up and go to the restroom, do I come back?
You come back and then you start stage 1 again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, and so you're cycling through 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through it. And they have different lengths depending on that stage 3, that really deep restorative one is longer earlier in the night. So your first couple ones, that's going to be longer, and then as you keep going, your last couple sleep cycles, your REM sleep is the longest.
Because sometimes I'll wake up and I'll think it's got to be 4 o'clock by now. And it'll be just 12 o'clock. I'll just have slept so deeply and felt and then I'll go, it's just
and so the stages, they change their duration as the sleep cycles go. Yeah. And and that's why to me, it's I feel I sometimes will remember my dreams better, when you first wake up, but it's that REM sleep, your dream state, that was the longest, towards the end of the night.
Right. Yeah, that's when because
but every single stage has its own reasoning and
benefits
benefits for you. Yeah. Yes. And you process your emotional information during REM sleep. So whatever has happened to you that day, whatever set you off, like you're emotionally dealing with things in your REM sleep.
Which makes sense because I'm a dreamer.
Oh yeah, you are.
So I have a lot of dreams. And so
you're probably processing all that emotion.
When a lot of stuff goes on and that's a whole nother session is dream interpretation, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
My dreams have taught me a lot.
Yes.
But that's it, yeah.
And so, if you get less sleep, so I mean, generally what I hear is like the average, 7 hours is good. But for women, actually, we're supposed to get more sleep. We're supposed to get 8 to 9 hours, like generally to be healthy. I don't do that, but to be healthy, it's hard. But no, women need more sleep than men. Probably because we're always stuck. No, we're always stuck with the short end of the stick when it comes to body stuff. And so less sleep, it just generates this negative feedback loop, because if you don't get enough sleep, then you're already cranky and moody, and then that can then cause it can just lead into more insomnia and stuff. It's like your brain, it just is a negative loop.
And Lauren, she's our sleeper in the family, but she's like me. We both have ADD, and so getting to sleep is that much harder. But she has gone to where she is now on a schedule. And she will go to bed at the same time every night, and that has been helpful. For her,
and I know
as it is me.
She's dealt and struggled. It's sleep has been a really big issue for her, and it's 75% of depressed people show symptoms of insomnia. So it is very common when you're depressed. Anxiety too, for me, that's what it leads to. Feeds insomnia, having PTSD, because whenever you fall asleep, if you have nightmares,
then you wake up.
Sleep.
And
so but then not sleeping makes all of your symptoms from your
it's a cycle of that. It snowballs. It snowballs.
And if you don't get a hold on it, then it just aggravates all of your problems.
I can remember as a kid growing up, everybody in the house would be asleep. And I'd be awake. I mean, I can remember in third when I was 8.
Wow.
Just think, it was miserable.
That is.
But my brain would just not be going all the time, and sometimes I'd go and wake mom and dad up just so I wouldn't be the only one asleep, and then go back to bed. It was like, but, and it was, we'll talk about this more, but it wasn't until into adulthood that,
you're in sleep.
I learned how to sleep.
No, I definitely know luckily for me, it doesn't happen all the time. But the few times that I can't get to sleep, I start getting mad.
It's like, I want to sleep.
I want to sleep. Why do I sleep? Yes.
That's funny.
But for me, sleep has always, I don't know why, it's just always been a priority. And not saying I stay up late if I need to get stuff.
Or you go out and do whatever.
I just know, I'm going to pay for it tomorrow. I just know I'm going to pay for it tomorrow.
Well, and then when you have a kid, it just magnifies.
Oh, yeah, 10,000 times. And I think I've just always known, I don't know where I get information, but it's if I get these little facts, the little fact of if I sleep, then my piano's going to be better. It's if I sleep, then I know I'm going to do better on this test. It's I just know I'm going to get the benefits, from my sleep, and so that motivates me.
You were just a disciplined. You take after your dad in that regard.
And I'm pretty
being very disciplined.
I know, I wasn't really every now and then, but I just really wasn't the typical teenager that just stays up really late.
No.
Even
you wouldn't sleep late on Saturdays very often.
I was asleep by 10:30, 11 usually, I just didn't stay up.
And that's interesting because, you read about how, during that time, young people, their brains don't function that way. They're on a different rhythm.
They're meant to stay up late and sleep late. That's just an adolescence.
Well, I always thought you were an adult early. So, you're 5 years old,
I know. But no, and they're, it's
so it's really interesting how that wasn't
I know how that wasn't the case for me, but the anomaly. But then we've got Lauren that always sleeps in, and Dad sleeps pretty well too.
I used to, but that was before I got onto my sleep routine. But I would be up way late, and that's why working into being a youth director was great because no reason to get up early. They're
That's
in
true.
school.
Everything's in the evening. Yeah.
So
No,
worked
that's
out well.
true. But yeah, I am very big on schedules.
Yeah.
I'm very big on routines. And I think I've been pretty disciplined with Charles about it. One, then I have a guaranteed time.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Well, I mean, y'all went to bed.
But it
always
is
like
so
that.
good. And you think about adults, I think adults a lot of times forget the benefits of having a bedtime routine.
Yeah.
You need these cues to tell your brain, because we live in a world where we can have lights on all the time.
Yeah.
So our natural circadian rhythm is not always being followed because your brain is like, well, there's still light.
Yeah.
So it's hard to shut it off. And so, I mean, because that's literally like.
Oh, I know. I wake up when it's light.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. It's like releasing melatonin can be delayed because we have all these lights on inside. And so I'm very much like, okay, at this time I go and I do this routine in the bath. You know, it's like brush my teeth, wash my face, like all that stuff. And I'll go to bed, and then I'll either like watch the rest of the Seinfeld or read one of the two. And then what's been really helpful for me recently is there's a podcast called Nothing Much Happens. And we're not sponsored by them, but I love it.
But they're good. So and there's others out there that.
But this is the one that I
This
found.
is the one that,
And it's literally, she writes, and then we'll read off her stories where nothing much happens. It's a lot of like ambiance, a lot of just, you know, talking about.
Oh, I love the bakery series. She'll talk about the bakery, and there's nothing to it, but just listening.
Like she'll have a story about a fall day or a snowy day, and she'll read through it twice. Like the first time if you want to listen all the way through, you can, and the second time she reads it a little slower. And I'm pretty much always asleep by the time the second one starts.
What's neat is there's a time you can set the timer when you want it to end at the episode or 45 minutes, 30, you know, and I don't know that I've ever finished an episode.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I think I'm not going to be able to sleep, I'll set it for 45 minutes, but I never remember it moving on.
Right, yeah.
So, but
yeah, and so I
don't do it all the time, but I do it when I know my brain.
So I think like having a bedtime routine for sure is something more people need to get on board with. But so what about your sleep?
This is what I found just fascinating is, I told you earlier, you know, I ADD brain. Yeah. And going to sleep was always difficult. And I remember when I got married and
Dad just like hits the pillow done.
His head hit the pillow and he'd be sleeping. I'm like, well, how do people do that? Drove me nuts. And so
people with no worries. No
exactly. When y'all got when you and Lauren were born, y'all were little.
Yeah.
I realized that the only time I would ever have to myself for the coming years was going to be early in the morning. So I started getting up early, and I started having quiet time. I started meditation, and it must have been, I don't know how long after. It was a while, you know, I'd been meditating for a while, and all of a sudden it hit me, oh, when I go to bed, I go to sleep now. I'm out. Yeah. And my brain learned to quiet through meditation. So people with ADD, you can meditate.
Oh, yeah.
It may be difficult at the beginning. It's probably difficult for everybody at the beginning. But I found ways, and I found different, you know, things to help me through that. Yeah. But it changed my sleep. Oh, and I am the biggest sleeper. Yeah. I mean, now I go to bed same time almost all the time, and I'm asleep. Yeah. So very few things keep me awake.
Yes. And around that time too, is that when you really started running and exercising regularly too?
That didn't come till a little bit later. Okay. The exercise, the running, it wasn't too much later, but it was just a little bit later. Yeah. But so I think that helps too.
But that's proven.
The movement
too.
and exercising. Yeah. I did it early in the day. I don't know if there's differences of when you exercise or not.
No, and there have been, because that's something
Paul does after work, so.
No, and that's been something, like I've read a lot of articles on like when best time to exercise and stuff, and really like from studies, it really doesn't matter. It's just, did you move?
Did you move?
Yeah. And like, and the thing is like best time to exercise can be different for different people's bodies too. Yeah. But there really isn't like a universal, this is the best time to exercise. Because I have looked into that. And then two, I think both of us are pretty big advocates of being outside and getting natural light. And
I love that.
And that's the thing I really learned about with Charles is and especially during the time changes and stuff, if you want your kid to get back on their schedule or whatever, if they're off, take them outside for as long as you can during those days, and then their bodies will go back.
Get that natural. Because it is funny because I wake up very seldom I've started using alarms some because I need to get up and out before Charles wakes up sometimes. So, but very seldom have I ever used an alarm since I retired and didn't know it. But I wake up when the sun, earlier the sun wakes up, the earlier I'm up. Yeah. If, when the time change,
you start to sleep in
I'm sleeping later.
Yeah.
And it's just.
You really do.
I really.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Impressive.
Yeah.
So, it is important to get if you have a desk job or whatever, you need to make sure you have time where you're spending a little bit of time out there.
And if I know they have some light lamps because there's some places where it's just dark that much longer, and it can affect people. So they haven't, and they're not really expensive, but to have light lamps but to use them in the morning, they say not.
Yeah, not too late. No, you don't want it too late.
Yeah.
But and so definitely. Exercising and then adding in some meditation relaxation techniques.
Because it definitely affects it. I'm just a sleeper, and it bugs me when sometimes I get migraines, and unfortunately they often, when they come, they'll come at night, and there's nothing that makes me madder than my sleep disturbed by some migraine.
Yes, and I definitely, and this is not to discount, I'm sure there are people out there that do these things and still have trouble sleeping.
Yes,
in that case, I definitely think sleep is so important. You should prioritize your health.
There's
go to a doctor.
Some things that
do a
can
sleep
assist.
study. You could,
that's
find
true.
a way to make it happen for you, because if you don't sleep, your life will be cut short. That is the thing.
That's a thing.
And there isn't. It's kind of a myth that you can make up sleep.
I know. I was reading about that.
And it's I didn't sleep much last night, but I'll make up for it tomorrow. Yeah. That isn't really a thing.
Yeah.
And so, not to go out and have fun.
Napping isn't really.
No.
But I enjoy it anyway.
You're nothing like
naps are good. That's a whole nother.
That's a whole
short
thing.
Little naps.
Short little naps are supposed to be good for you.
Yeah.
But it's go out and have fun and do it. But just if it is a continuous chronic thing for you to not get sleep, you're not going to make it up. And it causes a whole other host of health issues and stuff too. So I'm a very big
sleep advocate.
I'm a sleep advocate. I am too. Yes. So hopefully, if you have trouble, that gave you some ideas. Even if, because I don't always have trouble, but if a lot's happened during the week, I will put on that podcast. Hopefully we gave you just some ideas, if you are having trouble sleeping one night, or if maybe you don't have a bedtime routine. Hopefully we've encouraged you to kind of start making one for yourself, something to give you some cues to start slowing down. But I think there's always things you can continue to tweak with your sleep. For sure. So I hope some of this was informative.
Exactly.
We'll be continuing on with our mental health month. I know at some point we'll kind of talk about our mental health journeys, hopefully have some interviews for you, but it should be a good month.
All right. So we look forward to next week when we take a breath and take a listen.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of An Incomplete Guide to Personal Growth. There are many ways you can stay connected. Follow us on Instagram at An Incomplete Guide Podcast, where you can sign up for our email list and get posts that delve deeper into our weekly topics. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast page wherever you listen to your podcasts. We would really appreciate a rating and sharing us with your family and friends.
We're so glad you chose to spend your time with us, and hope there was a thought, a resource, or a laugh that you can take on your journey. We'll be here every Tuesday for you to take a breath and take a listen.